Hey folks, Chad here with Exodus Outdoor Gear, and today I'm going to walk you through the firmware update for your Exodus render camera running on module firmware ending in 14M4G. So before we get started, obviously you're going to need a couple things, the camera being one of them, a freshly formatted compatible SD card, 32 gigs or smaller, and a reliable power source. To get started, the very first thing we need to talk about is there are two firmware versions for your Exodus render. So this specific firmware version is for render cameras operating a module firmware ending in 14M4G. So to verify that, you're going to need to power your camera up. You're going to put that camera into setup mode. You're going to press the menu button. You're going to scroll down and select firmware and then select version. In that display screen, you're going to see two different lines of information. The top portion is going to say module firmware. That's what we need to be checking. As long as that ends in 14M4G, you are in the right video. If you see 13M4G, you need to go check out the other landing page and the other video for the Exodus render firmware update. So to get started, all we're going to do is go to our website, exodusoutdoorgear.com. We're going to take your freshly formatted SD card and plug that into your PC or your MacBook. And we're going to go over to the support tab, and we're going to select trail cameras. That page will bring up a landing page that gives you the option to select firmware updates. We're going to select firmware updates, and then we're going to scroll down to the bottom of the page, and you'll see the list of all the different cameras that we've made over the years with appropriate firmware updates for each. In this case, we are going to select the Exodus Render Cellular Trail Camera, and then it's going to have that module firmware listed, EC25V FAR 02A14M4G. Again, just look for those last couple characters, 14M4G. So we're going to click that, and that's going to bring up the landing page that provides step-by-step instructions that I'm basically regurgitating in this video. A couple really important things is making sure you have a proper power source, making sure you have a compatible SD card, and then just basically follow these instructions. So we're going to scroll down about halfway through this page, and you're going to see perform the update with an SD card. This is the first and only update needed to migrate your cameras over from ScoutTech to the all-new Exodus app, and this has to be done manually. You cannot use an OTA update call to get this firmware onto your camera. So under performing the update with an SD card, you're going to see download Exodus render firmware by clicking here. So we're going to just click that. That's going to download to my MacBook, or it should download to your PC or MacBook. Just make certain you know where your downloads are going, because you're going to need to find that. So once we have that downloaded, I'm going to go into my Finder and select downloads. And you can see this firmware version right here, EDO0420240806.brn. So we're going to take that BRN file, and we're just going to copy and paste that onto our SD card. And it's really important that you don't stick that file into any folder. In fact, on your SD card, it should be completely empty. You should not have a DCIM folder. You should not have other files on that card. This firmware update, or the firmware file ending in BRN, should be the only file on your SD card. So now that we have that properly installed on the SD card, all we're going to do is properly eject the SD card. We just don't want to pull it out. And now that that's properly ejected, we will throw the SD card into the camera. We're going to power it up over to the setup position, and we're going to hit the menu button. And then if you hit that up arrow one time, that'll take you to firmware, press enter, and then we're going to scroll down and select update. You'll see once you select update, the camera will give you a status screen. It will run through and reach 100%. When it reaches 100%, the screen will go black for a few seconds, and then you should see an MCU upgrading screen. The MCU updating screen will also give you a status. It's like 3 little dots. As that completes, the camera will go black again, and then it will restart or power cycle on its own, where that Exodus logo pops back up on the LCD screen, and you can see yourself looking into the camera, essentially. If for some reason the camera goes through the update, it reaches 100%, the screen goes black, and you don't get the MCU upgrading screen after a few seconds, 4 or 5 seconds. Just power the camera off, pop the battery tray out, put the batteries back in, turn it back on. That'll jumpstart that MCU updating screen. And at that point, again, when that's completed, the camera will cycle and power back up, and you're good to go as long as you have the SIM card properly installed for the migration process. So that's it.